Y'all ready for this? Y'all ready for this?
I think I need to drop a beat when you say that. If I knew how to drop a beat.
If you knew how to drop a beat. Swift Seller is number 2, aka First Loser. I wasn't going to say it, but okay. What is happening, everybody? What's happening?
Hello.
It's Wednesday, so it's Boss Up and List Day. And what does that mean?
It is our all-day virtual listing party in the Boss Facebook group where we set goals and check in with each other and try to offer encouragement and support. And we take a break at about 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time to chat with you about things business related, eBay related, Etsy related, shipping related, that kind of thing. This is our one show that's very business oriented.
We get down to business. But if you're in the Boss Facebook group and you have not chimed in on the thread today to set your goals, I'm having to harass people a little bit. You need to get in there. Say what your goals are for the day.
We know you're in there. We know you're reading it.
Say what your goals are for the day.
And we've got like 10 people that participate all the time.
Yeah. So let me tell you guys, I know that you're going to do some listing today, but it's really, it's helpful. Some of you find it harder or easier to get done what you need to get done every day. But sometimes it really helps to put it down in writing for other people to see, like, hey, this is what I plan to do today. And maybe Wednesday isn't a day that you can do a lot of listing. Then maybe put in there like, hey, I'm not going to get a lot of listing done today, but here's my goal for the week, or here's my goal for tomorrow.
Or maybe I'm spending today doing pictures, or maybe today is my sourcing day or whatever. But every once in a while it helps to have some accountability and check in with people and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Because I know it can be tough. It can be really hard to keep on top of it. And especially during this time of year, but you still need to be listing. You still need to be active in your stores, particularly if you're full-time. If you're full-time and this is what you're living on, this is your income that like you pay the rent with.
A couple of listings every couple of days is not going to cut it.
You can't be playing around. You got to buckle down. And just because it's the time of year when a lot of other stuff's going on, you can't really let it slide, especially because it is the busiest time of year.
No slacking.
No slacking, guys. What's up, Susie Beach? Ooh, T-Money in the house. Speaking of Susie Beach, as she did give Teresa Cox that moniker. That's right. That's right. I'm busting out the words, yo. Anyway, T-Money in the house. She says today is prep and ship day. So is Tuesday and Wednesday, but printer issues kept me from getting it done. What is up, Teresa? I figured Teresa's going to like this, our topic today, because today we are talking about
promoted listings. Teresa is pretty much the queen of promoted listings. I mean, if you don't know, Teresa got to do a couple of talks about promoted listings.
She's in the video about it, man.
She's in the eBay sponsored video. They actually came out to her house and filmed it. She's a little bit of an eBay celebrity. So
a little bit.
I feel like we're kind of jumping on Teresa, stepping on her toes.
She is so sick of talking about promoted listings.
She probably is. But she is kind of the queen.
Well, here's the thing. What's up, hip flipping mama? The thing about promoted listings is, I mean, that video came out, like 2 years ago? Like, promoted listings.
It's been around, like the beta testing started about 2.5 years ago. Teresa and I, we're not the only people, but Teresa and I are 2 people that have been in it for 2.5 years.
Yeah. So it's been around for a while. But here's the thing. Yesterday, there was a thread going on in the Boss group, and we realized, you know what? There are a lot of people who are still confused about how promoted listings work, who still don't understand how they work.
A lot of people seem to be confused between promotions and promoted listings. I mean, they're two different things. And eBay, you're bad because you probably should not have them so closely named.
Right.
Promotions used to be named Markdown Manager, and that was when you would go in and set sales and things like that. We'll talk a little bit more about that in your store. And that was more aptly named, I think, at Markdown Manager. And then they changed it to promotions, and then promoted listings came out about the same time, 2.5 years ago, at least in the beta.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucks because they really should not have names so closely related when they're 2 entirely different things.
It makes it very, very confusing because you don't pay for promotions per se. You pay for your store subscription, which allows you to access promotions, but you don't pay for them on their own as a service. Julie Dean says, thank you so much for all you do. Love you bunches. Thank you, Julie. We love you. We love all you guys.
Speaking of Julie's,
what
are we going to do tomorrow? I don't think she's in the chat because she's probably here doing all kinds of fun stuff. But downtown Julie Brown happens to be in town.
No rhymes too.
Yep, she happens to be in town with her son. who
Cool. All the way from Ohio, right?
Yeah, she's from Ohio. And a couple of us, well, I met her son and her going on 2.5 years ago at the first eBay Open that we had here in Vegas. I sat down and chatted with her, and I just adore her and her son and her husband. So they're in town, not hubby this time. And we are going to meet her for breakfast tomorrow, and the son, depending on whether he gets his butt out of bed.
Which is my favorite meal to go out for because I love me some French toast.
Some French toast.
Some French toast with a little side of sausage.
So we're going to go out for breakfast and then do a little sourcing tomorrow. So looking forward to hanging with our friend, our fellow reseller friend.
Yeah. Teresa just busted out a promoted listing video plug. I'm assuming that's your video of that you did with eBay, Teresa, which is awesome. But yeah, that's gonna be a fun thing that we're doing tomorrow. But anyway, back to
wait. There's another thing. Today is also another very important day, and I think that people must realize how much I love Krispy Kremes because I have had no less than 3 people message me to tell me about this today.
Happy
and faded
Krispy Kreme dozen day, guys. It is the 12th of December, 12/12. That means you can go to Krispy Kreme. And I think if you buy a dozen, you get another dozen. For $1,
a penny, I think it is. Oh, it might be $1.
Ooh, this could be problematic, guys.
We may have to
take
a drive.
I do have to take Derek to the airport, so.
Well, I think you probably need to pick me up some Krispy Kremes on the way back.
I could do that.
Because my fat ass needs more Krispy Kremes right before Christmas.
You know what? I'm not a big donut person. I'm not a big cake person, but I will say that.
And we're back to donuts, bro.
Yes, we are. I will say that a good fresh Krispy Kreme, just the basic glaze. I don't like any of the other ones, but just the basic glaze. It melts in your mouth.
I love them all.
Like butter. Junk Girl 71. Butter.
Yes.
Anyway, let's get back to promoted listings. Guys, this is a business show. Let's get down to business.
Now I'm distracted by Krispy Kremes. Thanks, Faded.
Okay, so especially if you are a full-time seller, if you are trying to make a business out of this, if this is your job and you need to make a living at it, it's really important that you understand all the tools that you have available to you. And like I said, promoted listings, they've been around for over 2 years. If you don't understand them now, you need to figure it out. You need to understand what it is. And first of all, I do want to get out of the way. Let's get past the whining and crying and bitching about how, whatever, promoted listings, they're making us pay
money
more,
for eBay.
Blah, 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 blah.
Well, of course they're making money. They're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart.
Yes.
Promoted listings is a feature that is offered to us. And it's an optional feature. Don't get me wrong. It's optional. You don't have to use it. And yes, it is more fees that are paid to eBay that they in turn use to better the platform, to do advertising.
It's not a new concept, guys. Do you ever go to the grocery store? Do you ever go to Walmart? Do you ever go to a record store? Do you ever go to any retail store? Is everything displayed equally? No, it is not. They have end displays. They have end caps. They have special setups. They have advertising. They have cardboard cutouts.
Banners. Yeah.
They do all kinds of stuff. And yes, Walmart, Target, all these grocery stores, they want to sell everything. They want everything to sell. They want to sell great. But you know what? They have a system set up, and this is the way it's worked for years, for decades.
Guess what sells is the stuff that's highlighted, whether there's a coupon in the flyer or it's highlighted in, Best Buy on their front page. All of those things. Again, it's not that Best Buy decides that Kenmore is not Kenmore, that's a Sears brand, but whatever. They decide that this particular Blu-ray is the best Blu-ray on the market. No. Sony happens to pay them an advertising budget to put it on the front page of their website or of their flyer or whatever it may be. That's what a promoted listing is. You're paying for greater visibility, which in turn creates more sales.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that eBay and Etsy, both companies which have promoted listings, are not communist countries. We're not all treated the same. We don't all get equal treatment, and it's communism in theory. But I'm just saying, it's not all the same. It is all about what you pay to play, and that's part of the business, and you have to do it smart, and you have to experiment with it. You have to play around, figure out what works for you, what brings you the most sales, the least amount of money spent, and you have to figure out ways to offset certain costs. So yes, it might cost more to do promoted listings, but how about you change how you do your markdowns, or any number of other ways that you can make adjustments so that you bring costs down in one area to raise costs in another area. But this is how the game is played now. And so if you want to be successful on eBay, if you want to be successful on Etsy, I don't know about the other platforms. I'm sure Like
we don't
Facebook,
again, we don't use them.
I think
so we can't speak
Facebook
to them.
Marketplace has sponsored ads. I'm not entirely sure. But
I don't know.
Don't know. I mean, when you go to Yelp and you look at reviews, the first things that pop up are like the sponsored ones. It's just the reality of how it works. Express that says it seems it would work for new clothes more than used clothing.
Here's the thing.
Either
I think
one.
we're going to prove you wrong on that right now because I don't sell new clothing.
Yeah.
So I sell a great amount of used clothing, and everything I sell is pretty much used. If it's new, it's an anomaly that I have something new.
Yeah. And Big Drift Drift, Allison's totally right. Not all items need promotions. If you have a rare or hot item, promoting it isn't necessary. Absolutely true. You got to think about what your competition is. If you have a really unique item that people are looking for, that are actively looking for, and you're one of 2-3 sellers, or maybe you're the only seller that has it, you don't really need to promote it.
Right.
And you can also like get into it. Now, I don't do this because I just don't personally, I hate being this micromanaging of what I do. But there are a lot of sellers out there who they don't do promotions on their new stuff. They let it be listed on its own for a while. They only do stuff they want to move that's been around for a long time.
Correct. You've got to figure out what works best for you, for your inventory and for your business. I mean, I tend to throw everything up in promoted listings just because even though I have a lot of rare or individual items that are not necessary for promoted listings, but when I have 2,500 listings, or just under 2,500 now. So for me, I just don't have the time to go in and check them off individually or look through different categories and just do it category wide. So for me, I just kind of just throw everything in my store on there. Not everybody has to do that. If you have the time to micromanage, or if you have a smaller number of listings and it's easier for you to go by category or whatever, do what works for you. We're not telling you what your percentage should be or how many things you should put on it. We're just going to show you how to use it and probably how it looks and what the numbers look like and how you should do it. I mean, I think that this, as Teresa said in there, for me, I always have a sale running in my store, and it is always on every item. I always have promoted listings on my store, and it's always on every item. One would think that they would cancel each other out, but here's what. I price all my items high enough to accommodate for sales and best offers. And I have a really good profit margin on every single thing that I sell. So I have taken that into account for my sales prices to pay for a promoted listing.
Yeah. Well, let's get into, let's talk about eBay first, and how, because promoted listings, they have them on eBay, they have them on Etsy. I use them on both. We both use them on both. They do work somewhat differently, even though bottom line is the same effect. So let's talk about eBay first. So eBay promoted listings, you are only paying once the item sells.
Correct.
So basically, if you are promoting an item, it's going to come up twice in the search, and we'll show you how it works. But it's going to come, it's basically like you're getting double exposure. So you're getting,
and it shows as if you're looking for if you're searching for something, do it yourself right now. Look on your phone for something. And if it shows sponsored,
that's a promoted
listing.
listing.
And then 3 down, you see the same listing without the thing that says sponsored. That's a promoted listing.
And sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes you'll show the regular listing first, and then it'll show the sponsored one. So it's not necessarily always putting your sponsored one up at the top, which is nice to know. But anyway, the way it works is if somebody clicks on one of the sponsored ones, the sponsored listing, and then anytime within the next 30 days, they purchase that item that they clicked on that sponsored listing for, you have to pay whatever rate it is that you decided for that, whether you decided at 1%, 5%, trending rates, whatever you decided, you will have to pay that amount. If they click on your other link and it's your non-sponsored one, then you're not going to have to pay for it. But if at any time they click on your sponsored one, and let's say 2 days later, 2 weeks later, they go back and click on your non-sponsored one, it doesn't matter. They clicked on that sponsored one and then they purchase that item, you're going to have to pay that.
Yeah, it's within 30 days, right?
Within 30 days.
Yeah.
So
we've got Johnny, Sin City Hustlers in the house.
What, Johnny?
He hasn't been in live in a while. Dude's working a lot.
Yeah.
Let's see. There was one question there. Mary O, when this started, eBay refunded for promoted listing fee. Do they still do that? No, that was a temporary promotion that they were running for a few months.
Yes. And just so you guys know, we're going to be doing a lot of talking today, so we might not see all your questions. Please keep your questions to promoted listings because we just don't have time to answer other questions, but we will try and catch the ones on promoted listings. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen.
Teresa, since you're in the chat, if you can do me a favor or do us a favor and try to keep track of maybe some of the promoted listing questions that come up while we're talking. Yeah, and Lorna, the picture for Allie is the frame comes in today.
It's driving me crazy, but it'll come. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen. We're actually gonna look at Vikki's store and how she does her promoted listings. She is rocketed on the sales right now. It's ridiculous, putting me to shame. So we're gonna look at hers. You know what I mean? Anyway, this is ridiculous. Look at these numbers. You have your screen set up a little bit differently than mine, but so we're on the Seller Hub. Look at these numbers. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. You're up like 42.8% over the last 31 days.
Mm-hmm.
Nuts. Anyway, so when you want to look at promoted listings, actually, let's do this first. Let's look at your listings, and we're going to look at one of your things that should be in a promoted. Or is everything promoted?
Yep.
Do you add it all automatically?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at these sweet boots. So here is how you can.
This may not actually be promoted because I just listed it yesterday. So go down. Sorry.
I literally asked you that question.
I know.
Woman.
Sorry. Go down to anything that has the red that's in sale is promoted.
Okay, so let's look at this one right here. Okay, so here's a good way to check and see what it looks like when it's promoted. I'm going to search the entire title so we for sure see this part. Hit enter. Not promoted. You are steering me so wrong right now.
It should be.
It's not right now.
Okay, well, almost everything except the stuff I had listed is promoted.
Okay.
Scroll a little further down.
We're gonna go way down, guys. We're going way down. We're going deep. We're deep diving.
All right. I know for sure.
You know for sure?
Yeah.
You promise?
Yeah.
Okay, because you're gonna be in trouble and we're gonna have to start these on a promoted thing. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so you see it shows two results. One says sponsored, one doesn't. Let's say we were looking, actually prefer a list view. So we're going to change this to list view. So you can actually see the sponsored version shows up second. So basically, let's say somebody was doing a Dale of Norway cardigan sweater search. This would come up twice in that search. Actually, let's go ahead and do that. Let's just do a search like this and see how that comes up. See where yours comes up in the list of 52 results. Mm-hmm. Well, it was under women's, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to narrow this down to women's.
So there are a few that are sponsored.
Yep. You can see like we've got sponsored. The first one's sponsored. The second couple are not. And there's another sponsored one. Ooh, let's see how far down the search you get. Do you see yours yet?
Nope.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, guys. We're still not seeing yours. All right. Anyway, let's go back to here. Let's go back.
522 results. I'm not
right?
even on the front page. Damn it.
What? We should be looking into that. You should be figuring that out. Okay, so you got both the results. Basically, what happens if somebody clicks on your sponsored one, then within the next 30 days, if they purchase it, you're going to be paying that percentage on it. If they click on this one, you are not, and that's basically the way it's going to be. So it just depends on what it is that you set. So let's go back. Let's go all the way back. We're going to back it out. Back it out. And we're actually going to go and look at how you have it set up. So we go under marketing, we go to promoted listings here. And this is your dashboard, right? Mm-hmm. So this is set for 31 days. So you can see how many clicks you've gotten in the last 31 days, how many you've sold. You can kind of see it's like a little looks like it stays pretty steady. Like it goes up and down, but it's not like you can see like it was way higher at the beginning of the month or anything like that. I don't know. What are your thoughts about this little?
It looks like your sales EKG chart, like EKG chart. I don't really know. I don't know that it necessarily, I don't know what it does. I just know that it does.
Yeah.
It works.
You don't know what it does. You just know what it does. Anyway, so you can see right here
that it does it.
Right. So you can see right here what your sales were for the last 31 days just from promoted listings, how many you sold, 116. You can see how many impressions you got, how many clicks you got, and what your ad fees were. And then you can actually go to sales report, and it's going to give you the detail of
Can you go a little slower. Go back.
Yes.
You're going too quickly to talk about all of it. So here's the other thing. So it says I have 83 campaigns. That doesn't mean. Stop it. Okay. I took control of the mouse.
Rude.
So you see here that says I have 83 campaigns. That does not mean I have 83 campaigns running right now. It just means that I've had 83 over the life of me having promoted listings. So I've had promoted listings for 2.5 years. As Teresa says, she runs hers continuously and they never end. I don't do that. I will run them for several months, but I don't know why this is
over here for a second. Keep talking.
This is blurry because
keep talking.
Oh, it is.
It is super blurry. Sorry, guys. I don't know why it's coming through so blurry.
I would refresh your feed, and we're going to try to refresh ours right now.
See if it helps anything. And then it goes into an ad.
It's YouTube is blurry. That's not us.
It looks a little better. If you refresh your screen, now it's clear. So try refreshing.
Okay. I think that might have been YouTube because it actually showed a commercial while we were doing that, and the commercial was even blurry.
Yeah. So just go ahead and refresh your screen, guys.
Okay. Everybody else is saying it's clear.
Yeah.
All right. So back to this. So it's showing that I have 83 campaigns, and I don't have 83 active campaigns. That's just the total amount that I've had as long as I've had this. You can also go in and customize. So you've got the last 31 days, $4,521 of my sales in the last 31 days have been through promoted listings.
Which I did the math on it for you, and that works out to 35.5% of your sales in the last 31 days have been a result of promoted listings.
Correct. Now, that's not to say, and here's the thing, a lot of people will say, how do you know the thing's not going to sell without promoted listings? You can't quantify an unknown.
Yeah.
So the fact is you don't know. You don't know that it wouldn't sell anyway. But I do know that if I'm not using promoted listings, my sales are lower.
Yeah.
So,
and you're getting double the exposure. So when, like we said, you were showing up twice in the search. So just automatically, that's the way that is. And then depending on what it is that you pay, the percentage you pay, it does have an effect on where you show up at the search.
Or how frequently, how high you are and that kind of thing. So, I tend to have, you can also go into, okay, so right here you see on your dashboard, you've got last 31 days. You can also customize it. So I could show you from January 1st of this year to now.
Apply.
Might take a minute.
Apply. Whoa! $31,000 in sales.
Now,
not too shabby for only $2,000 in fees.
This should be, someone said Serena said I'm on the 5th page of eBay listings. Heads will roll, Teresa. Okay, so I've paid almost $2,000 in promoted listing fees over this year, and $31,000 in sales have resulted from promoted listings. So for me, this is about 30% of my listings, because I've done about 94 or 95,000 year to date in total sales.
Yeah, Lorna says, to me, it's no brainer. There's no gamble. Yeah, and you can always experiment around with what percentages you're going to do. Let's go ahead and create a new campaign for you, because it looks like you have some stuff that's not in one right now, so we might as well.
Just 25 listings I listed last night. That's it, because I actually did this yesterday.
Okay, so let's just go ahead and do it. So let's do all these 25.
Can you go back slower, honey? Because you show people how to create a campaign.
Well, I just clicked the button that said create a campaign, but I can do that.
And Lisa asked, do you price your items higher and then promote to wash the promotion cost? Not exact dollar amount, but everything I price high, Lisa. So I have plenty of margin and room for sales, for best offers, and for promoted listings.
I will say that when I started doing more of the promoted listings, I changed what I was doing my markdowns at. So my percentage off is less than what I used to do for sales. So I'm getting a higher sales price. So I did that. So that's what I was talking about. You can adjust like your prices. You can adjust how you do your percentage off in your sales to try to make up for that extra cost. But yeah, so right here on this page,
most of what I sell, I get 10 times what I paid for it, if not more.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of room in there for me. So I will price things. I usually run a sale anywhere from 15 to 30% off in my store. And then I have my promoted listings. I tend to run anywhere from 5 to 7% across the board from promoted listings. So that still leaves me plenty of room to negotiate for best offers.
So here we go. We're on just this main screen from promoted listings, a main dashboard. And if you just click right here, create a new campaign. Is that slow enough for you?
Yes. It's not for me, it's for other people. You're very fast.
And so then here you have two choices. You can select listings individually, or you can select listings in bulk. I never use this bulk. This one you have to like upload like
it's a spreadsheet. It's a pain in the ass.
I don't do it that way.
Go to the one on the left.
I go to select listings individually, and you can select up to 500. Right now, she only has 25 that are not in any kind of campaign already. And so you can see right here, it says hide promoted. If I uncheck this, it would actually show everything. So now it's going to show, 2,460. But it automatically has this hide promoted checked. So we're only showing the 25 listings that you have that are not currently in a campaign.
These are just the ones I listed yesterday.
Yeah. So here's the 25 selected, and then we're going to set the ad rate. So you click on this. Now, right now, I believe it's set.
It automatically does trending
rates. Yes. So now, do you do trending rates?
I don't, but I may for this campaign. I just want to. Here's the thing: when I go and set up a campaign, it's usually more than 25 items. So I don't generally go for trending rates because I want to see what they all are. In this case, yeah, because I think I'm not paying anybody 10%.
Now they have it set up though where you can add each item individually into a campaign while you're listing, and I do that.
You can. I'm not interested in going as high as 10% on some of these clothing items. Most of this is clothing, so it's high. I'm actually going to take this off as not necessary for me to do promoted listing. And this is not necessary for me to do a promoted listing because I'm one of the only sellers of them. So I'm not going to put them in a promoted listing. But the other 23, I'm going to go and apply a single, so it automatically says trending rates have applied. I'm not going to do trending. I'm going to apply a single ad rate. And then it starts at 7. I usually go down here, 5, 5.5. So I'm going to go with that. 5.3 is what I'm going to use. And then you go down to the bottom, you hit review. You can name it anything you want. I don't bother, but if you're keeping campaigns specific to a category, or you're keeping campaigns specific to a percentage, absolutely go ahead and name it. I don't bother to name them, but there's nothing wrong with naming them, and it absolutely makes more sense if you're going to throw things into specific campaigns.
I don't put anything in specific campaigns, so I don't really care. So mine are just numbered.
Mine too. So agree to it's automatically checked off that you agree to the terms of service.
Yeah.
And then you hit launch.
Okay, so now those are in there. Now people are talking about their different strategies, what percentages they do, and everything like that. A lot of people will do, like Christina says, I just started doing promoted listings again recently. I only do 1% because I'm cheap, haha. So I would really suggest that you experiment around with this. You can see where the clicks are, and you can look at the sales. I think, whatever you decide, let's say you do 1%. Set it at 1% and let it go for a good amount of time where you can really evaluate like what the results are. So don't just do it for a week. Don't just do it for, maybe do it for a month and see what your results are, and look at the clicks, look at your sales, and then maybe start another one where you set it for a different amount and you look at that. But I do want to say
different people have different strategies. Here's the same thing. Some people encourage you to do like 1%. Some people say to do 10%. Some people say use trending rates. I think it depends on your category. I don't think you need to use trending rates in every category. For me, what works for me is around between 5 and 7%. That's me. You can add it to a promoted listing campaign as you're doing each individual listing. That they've added that, which is fantastic. I don't do that. I tend to go in and tweak them every couple of weeks or what have you. Some people will run the campaign forever. Some people will go in and do it for a short period of time, like they do sales. 1% is I don't think 1% is going to do you any favors. And I'm going against my buddy Casey, and Casey Rockstar Flipper encourages people to try 1%. I don't think you're going to see much results.
Yeah.
So for me, that would not work.
And so here's what I'm saying is that if you're going to experiment around with different numbers, give it a little bit of time and do it with a large enough number of your listings so that it's going to give you some data. And I want you to pay attention to the clicks. I know that it seems like, oh, I want to see what sales result from it. But the sales part of it is really, I'm going to take us off screen share real quick just because we're not constantly staring at screen. Okay, so yes, you're not paying any fees until you sell an item, and whatever sales result from it, that's what you're really excited about, right? But the success of a campaign really has to do with how many clicks you're getting. And so if you're experimenting with 1% versus 5% versus trending rates, you want to see which one results in like the most clicks. Because and
I don't know what's good. Yeah. I don't know what's good as far as clicks go.
Let me. It's not about looking at me like I got 500 clicks and hey everybody, 500 clicks is good. No, it's about which one is better compared to another. So if you're doing 1% and you notice that over a month's time you barely get any clicks, and then later on you try 5% and you realize you're getting like crazy amount of clicks. The reason I'm saying clicks is because a click is when they literally click on your item and they go to your listing page and it's in front of them. At that point, there is nothing else that eBay can do. There's nothing else the promoted listing campaign can do other than get a buyer to your screen. Once they get to your screen, that is the ultimate goal. Now, at that point, it's going to depend on, are they happy with your price? Are they happy with your shipping policy? Are they happy with your return policy? Whatever it is that makes them get to your screen and go, well, you know what? I'm going to now buy this item and pay for it. But as far as a promoted listing campaign goes, bottom line, you want to get them to your actual listing page. And so if you compare, you have to have enough time to kind of collect the data, but you want to see what percentage is getting the most clicks, is getting the most people to your listings, because everything else is going to depend on, like, do people want your item? Do they, whatever it is that makes them actually buy it and gives you that sales conversion.
Exactly.
But it's going to be about the clicks, because it's like if you're at 5% for a month and you see like a certain, because you can, like we showed you how to pull back and look at the entire year. If you can pull back and look at the entire year and you're like, oh, when I was doing 5%, it looked like this. Then I lowered it 1% and really nothing changed. Like the same, like it basically stayed at the same level. So I was paying an extra 1% for no reason. And then I bumped it down to 3%, and all of a sudden there's a noticeable drop in clicks. Okay, maybe that's the breaking point, the tipping point where it starts to really drop my visibility and I'm not getting those clicks. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so that's kind of like my spiel, I guess, on that. And I don't know what that answer is. It's going to be different for everybody. I have no idea.
It's going to be, everybody's selling different products, so it's going to be different, and here's the thing. If you're selling used clothing and you're selling name brands that are in a very saturated market, there's a reason why the trending rates are higher, because it's a competitive market. So you need to spend more money in advertising, i.e. promoted listings, in order to get a better sell-through rate. If you're in a saturated market, that's your way to get noticed in a saturated market. So yes, trending rates are high in used clothing.
If you sell auto parts, the tipping point might be a 7% ad rate. The tipping point might be 3%. I don't know, but it's going to be different, I think, for whatever it is that you sell.
I don't really know what the conversion rates are. I mean, I look at I don't know what is considered good and what isn't. I will tell you, if you look at my my main page here, I'm going to get off. Are we on shared right now?
No, we're not.
Can you share the screen?
I can share the screen.
Excuse me. I'm going to check and see.
There you go, madam.
Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. There we go.
So I'm going to go to my, I guess, is it my dashboard I want to go to? I don't know. This is set up a little differently than what I look at.
What do you want to Seller Hub? There you
go. So if you look at Seller Hub, if I go down and look at, where is it?
What are you looking for? Maybe
performance.
Okay.
Performance. Traffic, I guess. I don't know. Let me just look at performance for a second. Sorry. So if you look at things like this is what I was looking for. Traffic impressions. So I'm up 0.02%. What does that mean? Other than I think that, it's busier this time of the year. My click-through rate and my listing views and my sales conversion rate this stuff is pretty much always the same. To be honest with you, I don't know what is good. I don't know what's not good. I just know that mine is always the same. I can only compare dollars.
Well, and that's where I can tell you, okay, if your sales, because she was saying this to me yesterday, my sales conversion rate always stays the same. It's about 1%. And I'm like, okay, if your sales conversion rate is the same, because here's the thing, guys, Listing impressions, that means that somebody puts in a search term and there's a whole page of results and yours shows up on that page. So that means that they saw it. They didn't go to your listing, but they saw it. So that's an impression. The click-through rate is how the percentage of time that you show up on the screen and somebody clicks on your item. So that means they click through to your listing, and then you got your listing page views. And then your sales conversion rate has to do with they come to your page, they look at it, and then now they complete the sale, and so that's your sales conversion rate. Okay, so if you have a 1% sales conversion rate and that stays steady all the time, then logic will tell you if you can increase your clicks, that means you can increase the number of times people come to your actual listings, your sales will increase too. Let's say you doubled the amount of times people came to your pages, your sales should double. So that's why I keep saying, like, you want to increase the clicks. You want to find whatever percentage on that promoted listings screen, you want to find whatever percentage of ad rate you want to pay will increase those clicks. So you want to keep playing with it until you can find whatever is optimized for you and for what you sell.
So self-destruct, 2.6 sales conversion rate. See,
nice.
that might be good. Like I really have no idea because I'm not entirely sure what it should be, but I know that mine is always around 1%. My sales are good. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think a lot of these figures are not 100%. I will say, like, even looking at like what I've sold year to date, if you down at the bottom, I'm at like 12,000 more than that.
Yeah.
I just really don't entirely know how much of these actually are 100% accurate.
Yeah. Sometimes, well, and some of it's just a matter of like understanding like what information are they putting into those numbers too. Like it showed your sales to date that like,
it doesn't count my international.
Here's the thing. That doesn't count your international.
Yeah.
So that number,
and it doesn't count any of my.
Because for a long time I didn't realize that, and I remember like looking at mine and being like, "Wait, I've only done that much for the last year," and then I realized it was only for the U.S. region.
Yeah.
Okay, Maui Delights. Thanks for the great advice on promoted listings. Busting out the super chat. Super chat. Super chat. She's super chatty. Yeah. Wow.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Maui Delights, I really hope you're coming to our meetup next week. We're doing our second official meetup on the 18th. Yeah. I know that Johnny, Sin City Hustlers, he works nights, so he's not going to be able to come, but hopefully he will send, hopefully Jolene will come, his wife. But we're doing a little bit of a Christmassy one, and we're going to be talking about shipping.
So Jesse just said something really cool. I like how you can do it by category. I just did promoted listings on my NFL stuff until the Super Bowl. Oh yeah,
perfect.
That's a great idea. Like maybe like doing a campaign that's just your Christmas stuff and like really bumping it up. So I don't go to that level, and that's probably not great for me. But
same. I really should be catering it towards specific categories. But this is the lazy way to do it, and this is what we're trying to show you, at least the easy way.
Yeah. Anyway, I really hope that I know this is like a lot of information, a lot of numbers. I'm hoping that it's helpful to you guys, and we're not just like making it more confusing, but helping you to understand like what promoted listings are, how they work. Now I'm going to go ahead and share the screen again, and we're going to look at Etsy, because Etsy also does promoted listings, and they definitely work, but it's the same thing where you got to experiment, you got to play around with it. Okay, so I'm on, this is my Etsy account. Obviously I'm not doing as much revenue on Etsy as I do on eBay, but I'm moving it up there. I'm trying to get up there, guys. I'm almost to 700 listings. I'm pretty excited about that. But anyway, let me show you what it looks like. So we go to marketing and go to promoted listings. Now, promoted listings on Etsy works a little bit different than eBay. So eBay, you only pay when the item sells. You're paying based on a percentage, an ad rate that you set. With Etsy, you're paying per click. And so again, we're talking about clicks. Clicks really are the most important thing. It's a little bit different when you're paying per click as opposed to just paying a percentage when something sells, but it's set up a little bit differently. And I will say, when I started to crunch the numbers, I'm seeing that with Etsy, promoted listings really do drive a lot of sales. So I've been playing around with this. When I very first started, I'll show you right here. You go here and you manage. It's a little bit different. You don't create campaigns. which sometimes can make it a little hard to be able to look at one campaign versus another because you can't do that. It's kind of like all is together. You can only look at it based on like your last 31 days or last 30 days, 7 days, this month, last month, all time. But with this, you know, you turn on your promoted listings. So you don't create campaigns. It's either on or it's off. You set up a daily budget. Mine's set at $20. I don't know if I've ever done $20, but I've done like about 15. I have it set up to advertise new listings automatically. Again, I don't get really deep in the weeds and try to go one item versus another. I just have it all set up. And then you go and do advanced settings and you actually enter what you are willing to pay per click. Now, when I very first started, I had this set at 10.
Slow down.
I had it set, yes, I will slow down. Sorry, guys, I'm a fast talker. When I first started doing this, I had it set at 10 cents per click. And let me tell you, it ended up being way too expensive. I was spending too much money and not getting enough sales at the time. So I've had to play around with it, and I had it down to 5 cents for quite a while. And then 2 days ago, I lowered it to 4 cents because I wanted to see if I would see any difference, if there would be like a dramatic drop in clicks. Because if the clicks pretty much stay the same, then I'm like, all right, I'm basically dropping my costs by about 20%. So,
I think with promoted listings on Etsy, because it's brand new to Etsy, and Etsy is not quite as saturated as
Etsy's
eBay
been doing
as
it for
a
while.
market.
Etsy's been doing it for a couple of years at least.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I never had it as an option until recently.
I just never looked for it, but I would always see other people with their sponsored listings and stuff like that. I just wasn't ready to do it. But it is a little bit scary because you're like, okay, I'm paying for something, but there's no guarantee that I'm going to sell it. So it makes it a little bit harder to like kind of make that leap. I know for me, I'd wait longer to do it. And I will say, like, I crunched the numbers, and when I look at like my of all time, and I figure it out, I've paid like 23% of the revenue. I know, right? Is that usually gagging? 20 that's because I started at 10 cents per click. It was crazy. It was like over 30%. It was nuts. But I was like, you know, I was trying to experiment. I'm like, I don't care right now. My fees on Etsy are lower. You know, everything like is cheaper to sell. I'm selling stuff at a higher price point. So I kind of rationalized with myself that I'm making the same amount of money doing it this way on Etsy as I do on eBay. So I have room to play. So yeah, it was like over 30%. It was nuts. And I dropped down to 5%. And so then when I bring it down to the last, 30 days, then it drops down to its 22%. If I look at like the last month, I figured this out. It was about 25.6%. But if I look at just this month, it starts to come down at 17.7%. Same for the last 7 days. But if I look at, let's say, yesterday, I only had one sale. And I spent $7.17 on promoted listings. So it was like 24%. I mean, that seems really high, right? But then I look at today, and I already have 2 orders. I've only spent $2.86. And so it's like less than 3%. So it's really a matter of like playing with those numbers. So I'm going to keep seeing. I don't really know yet how much dropping down to 4% has affected it. If it hasn't affected it at all, then maybe in like a week, I'll drop down to 3 cents per click.
I think I'm doing 2 cents per click right now on Etsy.
Yeah.
But my sales on Etsy are brand new. My sales are actually, I've done 1,500 in the last 30 days on Etsy, which is good, really good for me. It's an extra, you know, platform. And Susie had a question there. How do you keep track of your sales when you have them, when you're cross posting on eBay and Etsy? For me, I can't answer for Katie, but I'll answer for myself. For me, every morning when I go to ship out my items, I will take all of my eBay items and I'll open up a second screen on Etsy, and I will make sure that if any of my items that sold on eBay overnight or throughout the day are on Etsy, I just deactivate my Etsy listing. Yeah.
I do it as soon as I get a sale come.
I do sometimes, but I don't always do that. So, you know, I'll do it if I'm thinking of it, but I always make sure to double check every morning.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I do is when I get a sale on Etsy, which is far less frequent, when I get a sale on Etsy, I will automatically go into my eBay store on my app and end it on eBay. I do it right away on eBay because you do not get penalized if you have to cancel a sale on Etsy.
Yeah.
Obviously you get penalized if you have to cancel a sale because something is out of stock on eBay, and I'm not taking that defect.
Yeah. So it was 2 days ago was when I dropped from 5 cents per click to 4 cents. It's too soon to know if it's affected anything, because if you look here, there's pretty normal dips that are happening. So this could be a normal dip because today we're only partway into the day. So this one might end up being up here. So in a couple of days, I'll be able to tell if there was like a downward trend because I did 4 cents. And if that's the case, then I'll bump it back up to not 4%, 4 cents per click. I'll bump it back up to 5 cents per click.
Maui, you don't need a reason to end a listing on eBay if it's sold on Etsy.
Well, that's not entirely true. Hold on a second here. I'm going to.
Yes, you do get alerts on Etsy if you sell something.
If you end a listing on your desktop, it doesn't ask you for a reason. You just end it. It's not. It doesn't matter.
I always
if you end it on your phone. I know there's a lot of people who do more stuff on their mobile thing. It actually does ask you for a reason.
Okay, so it doesn't really.
I don't know what the.
I
don't know what the options are.
I think you can put no longer available for sale. It doesn't really matter. You can end a listing for any reason at any time on eBay. There's no you're not penalized for that. The only time you'd be penalized is if you canceled a sale that has already gone through.
Yeah.
Or ending a listing that has bids or something like that. I don't do auctions, so that's not a relevant issue for me. I do tend to end them even if I end them on my phone, I end them using the desktop version. So
yeah, me too.
I don't use the app.
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't really matter. There's no penalty for it.
I tend to never use the eBay app for anything other than responding to offers or answering questions, because the app is just so shitty.
Yeah,
it's just not user friendly for a seller.
I do want to show. There's another thing I want to show real quick. I want to kind of show you the difference between eBay.
Is there a quick question?
I want to show the difference between eBay and Etsy as far as like how they come up with the promoted listings, what it looks like when you do a search. But what was the question?
The question is there a vacation mode on Etsy as well? That's my only worry, selling on both platforms while away.
I believe so. And also one difference with Etsy is that you can actually, after you sell something, you can actually change you can go in and change your handling time as long as it's before the date that they're supposed to receive it, I believe. And I don't think you get penalized for that. Okay, so hold please on the questions. And I'm going to show really quick what happens when you do a search. So I'm just going to search a vintage Tommy Hilfiger jacket, and then I'm going to do the same thing over on Etsy. Hilfiger jacket. Okay, so let's look at this. So now when you look at the screen, you see one thing sponsored. Let's see, 2 of the top results here are sponsored. It's kind of like peppered throughout.
Oh, that's a nice one, the red one.
Yeah. So it's kind of, it's like here and there, they're sponsored. Let's look at the view. Let's do the list view. Top one's sponsored, second one, third one's not, fourth one is. So that's the way it works. When you look at the same thing.
New listings are highlighted I never realized that was such a big thing.
So it's fresh. Then when you go over to Etsy and you do the same search, you'll notice they actually put in their thing, it'll say ad, and the whole top is all sponsored ones. I don't know if it's only that top. Nope. And then they have, so it looks like they do 1 row of ads, 3 rows of regular, another row of ads. Is it the same all the way down? Yep. So every 4th row, it's ads all the way across. So the very top, it's ads. Now, earlier I was saying that with Vikki's, anywhere from 35 to 40% of your sales are from promoted listings.
Yes.
When I went and did the math on mine, let me go ahead and get this out of the screen share. When I did the math on mine, in the last 30 days, 60% of my sales are from promoted listings
on Etsy.
On Etsy, in the last, because on eBay, I'm pretty close to the same as you, like 30 to 40%. On Etsy, the last 7 days, 65% of my sales are because of promoted listings. Today, 100%, I've got 2 sales today, 100% of my sales are from promoted listings. And I don't know if that's because of the way that they have it set up, where it's like the whole top of the screen is showing ads and or what, but that tells me that it's I don't know if it's like more effective on Etsy or what.
I mean, here's the thing: there's no reason to manipulate the findings because you're paying for the clicks anyway. So that's the difference between Etsy and eBay. You're paying for the clicks no matter what. So there's a real way to tell if it's sold through one of the clicks on Etsy, as opposed to eBay. eBay, you can tell when it sells through a promoted listing, yes, but you can't tell if it would have sold anyway. I think, does that make sense? Like,
well, but you're getting double exposure on Etsy as well, so they could be scrolling through the whole screen and find your regular listing and buy it through that instead. I mean, obviously they must, because anyway. So either way, there's a lot of gray there. There's a lot that you're not going to know. You're not going to know. It's just like people who say, well, I charge shipping and my sales are just fine. It doesn't affect my sales. And I'm like, well, you cannot possibly know that, because there is a percentage of people who click on the free shipping tab that never see your listings.
You can't,
and for all you know,
cannot quantify an unknown.
Right. If you can't quantify what sales you missed out on. And so, but I will say, like, the fact that I've got 65% of my sales in the last week are because of promoted listings on Etsy. I'm like, all right, cool. Anyway, I don't know. Have we covered everything? Like, do you guys have more questions? We kind of got through most of it in an hour, but
we did. Has anyone if you have a question about promoted listings that we did not address, can you pop it back into the chat? Because I'm not seeing. And Justin, thank you for those nice words about us. I was looking at what Justin
No, what'd you say? Popping what into the chat?
Pop it back into the chat.
Pop what back into the chat?
The question.
Oh, gotcha. You're saying that. Sorry, guys. I'm really confused. Anyway, so self-destruct, according to Casey, eBay only charges a promoted fee if the sponsored listing sells. If the regular listing sells, they don't charge the extra fee. Yes, that's what we were talking about. But here's the thing. If they click on your sponsored listing and 2 weeks later, they're like, you know what, I'm going to do a search for the same thing again, and that time they click on your non-promoted listing and they buy it, doesn't matter, because they clicked on your thing within 30 days. So it basically, if they clicked on it at one point, there's a whole 30-day period. If they buy it at any time during that 30 days, even if they come back and they click on your non-sponsored listing, you will get charged that amount because they clicked on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Kara's question, do promoted listings on eBay also help with a generic Google search? I don't think so.
I don't know how that works.
I can't imagine that they would, except for the fact that you have double impressions on eBay that may boost your Google search as well. I can't speak to that because nobody really knows the Google Analytics.
To be honest, we don't know. And I'm trying to find that out because honestly, if I knew that by paying for promoted listings, it's also increasing my visibility in Google search, like that would be all the more reason for me to want to be participating in the program. I mean, I already do, but I would be preaching that more, I think, to other sellers. Like, it does have an impact.
Obviously, we don't know all the ins and outs of what works best in search and why and things like that. And there's a reason why that nobody knows how Cassini or the search engine for eBay works. There's a reason why. If you knew how it worked, there are people that would figure out ways to manipulate the search and manipulate it to their benefit. There are people that do things like that on every website in the world, the hackers and things like that. So if you knew exactly how it worked, you would have an unfair advantage. There's a reason why, as a seller, you don't know exactly.
Yeah, we did talk about impressions. I don't know if you had like a specific question about that, Jesse, about impressions, but for anyone who maybe like is having a hard time, if you don't understand what the whole impressions thing, imagine like a billboard. Like, let's say you're driving on the freeway and you go past all these billboards. Like, man, here in Vegas, they are everywhere. So every time you're driving down the freeway and you see a billboard, you see an ad on a billboard, that's an impression. Your eyes hit that ad, you saw it, and you noticed it or whatever, or maybe you didn't even notice it, but it went in front of your eyeballs. That's an impression. So when somebody's selling like a billboard space, they might say, well, this freeway that goes by this billboard gets X number of drivers every day, X number of drivers every week. You're getting eyeballs on this ad this number of times, and that's how they determine how they sell that. Those are like the idea of what an impression is. Now, when somebody sees that billboard and they like here, it's like they're all about like lawyers wanting to help you with whatever. So let's say you see that billboard and you're like, hey, I remember that billboard. I'm going to call that lawyer and see what's up with him. Or I'm going to go into that store that I saw on the billboard. That's like a click. They've like actually gone to, they've called the company. They've gone to the store because they saw that ad or that impression. And if you consider that a click.
If you purchase the item in the store or hire that attorney, in their office, then that is your sale.
That's your sales conversion. That's your conversion. So that's impression, click, conversion. So it's like you see the ad, you go to the store, you purchase the item. So those are all their like steps along the way. So I hope that helps.
Sandy asked the question, is the fee paid on the purchase or just the click of a sponsored item? Sandy, on eBay, it is just on the purchase. If your person purchases your item using your sponsored listing on eBay, you pay the promoted listing
on Etsy
fee.
You're only paying per click. And so I like to look
at there's no additional fee when they buy your item.
But I mean, I've had I'm looking at it right now, the last 30 days, I've paid for 8,533 impressions, but I've only gotten 34 sales out of that. So, it's a slightly different way of doing it. It does end up costing a little bit more by doing the clicks.
I'm also using promoted listings on Etsy, but I have, I don't know, 590 listings. I have about 100 fewer listings than Katie does on Etsy. And my sales are a lot less than hers. So whether it's the items that I'm selling are not as desirable as hers are, or the fact that she's paying a lot more for the promoted listings, therefore she's getting a lot better sales conversion. Again, can't really tell because it's apples to apples when you're selling two different items.
Right.
So, but my sales are definitely up. I just don't pay as high as she does. I think I'm paying 2 cents a click up to $5 a day is what I went
And you
to.
might want to go back and like look at, like back it out, maybe look at your all-time, or like your last.
Here's the thing. It's been about a week since I cut my things and my sales have been up this week. So
but you might want to look, and again, the sales might be up because it's Christmas time. Might have nothing to do with those promoted listings. And so that's where I would say, like, back it out, look at like the last 30 days and see if try to remember when you made that change to 2 cents and see if you see a huge drop in clicks.
Impressions.
Or, and again, I don't even care about impressions necessarily. I like to look at the clicks because bottom line is I want to know that they actually clicked on my item, not just that they saw it.
Exactly. I think we've actually answered.
Yeah. So self-destruct said I had my eBay promoted campaign set at 2%. I just increased it all to 3%. We'll see if anything changes. My question, self-destruct, how many items total do you have in those campaigns? And then I would love to hear, like a week or two from now, if you pull back and look at, the time before and then the time after, do you see any dramatic, increase in your clicks, specifically the clicks, not just the revenue you get from it, because there's so many things that are going to go into the revenue.
Victoria, we don't really have an answer for that. It does take some time for your promoted listings to be indexed. I will tell you that when I have taken items off of promoted listings, and sometimes I'll end all the campaigns and then start them over again. When I do that, it will take up to 12 hours for everything to be re-indexed. It's the same thing as it really depends because I don't have a good answer for you on that. Sometimes it takes a while. Yeah, so Teresa said sometimes it can take up to 12 hours. Sometimes it's faster. It all depends on how fast it's going to re-index. Because I will tell you, sometimes when I do that, my sales go to a grinding, screeching halt for about 10 hours. So if I try to do that, I try to do it overnight.
Kara says, I'm surprised that men's clothes do go on Etsy. I'm telling you, men's vintage streetwear and stuff like that. I sell sweatshirts on there like nobody's business. It really does. I can even look at.
You have a question there from DJ.
What does DJ have to say?
Wanted to know if the email went through. Did you receive it? Did you send it to Katie? Because I didn't get an email.
I don't know what's your name in your email. I don't know what your name is or what it would be. So, but yeah, let's look really quick. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to show what stuff I've sold. So this is the last, actually, let's just go ahead and look at all time. Orders from ads. And you can see, well, sweatshirt, I sold this cool bowling shirt, t-shirt, sweatshirt. Oh, I see. It shows you what ad they clicked on and then if they go and paid. So it counts if they clicked on a different ad, but then paid for something else in your store. I didn't realize that, guys. We're learning something new together. But here it's like they clicked on this ad and they bought it. And interesting. Very cool. But yeah, I've sold a lot of sweatshirts and jackets.
They clicked on this and they bought a different one.
Yeah, that's funny. Very cool. Yeah. So it looks like more often than not, they buy the thing that they clicked on, but sometimes they click on one item and buy something else, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it looks like the majority of the time they're clicking on and buying the same item. But yeah, so I sell a lot of menswear stuff, a lot of jackets and sweatshirts. So
okay, so self-destruct, your number of listings is a little bit low, so you may not see a big difference in your conversions. Just keep getting up there. Obviously, it's a numbers game. If you have 119 listings, that's on the lower end of numbers. So if you don't see a huge difference between your 2% and 3%, don't be surprised.
Yeah, self-destruct. That's why I was asking about your number of listings, because I mean, when it comes to statistics, which is basically what you're kind of looking at when you're looking at like what effects different things have when you're looking at numbers, the larger pool of numbers you have that you're working with, the easier it is for you to be able to see patterns. That's why when somebody says like, oh, I'm coming into Q4 and I'm not seeing this huge bump in sales, and you're like, well, how many listings do you have? And they're like, well, I have 75. It's like it's going to be really hard to be able to tell like the difference the changes that you make will have and the impact it will have. Whereas if you have 1,000 listings and you make a change, you're more likely to be able to see patterns.
So a couple more questions. What software do you use for photos? Katie doesn't use any software, neither do I. I mean, obviously mine don't look as good as hers either, but she just uses her cell phone camera.
But I use the pro setting. I use the pro setting.
You use the pro setting, and you also have all of your items are taken on the same mannequin at the same angle, using square photos, and it's lit the same way. It's very easy because not easy, but it's easier because they're all very uniform the way you have.
That's true, but it has a lot to do with I change my brightness with every single photo that I take in the pro setting, and so that has a huge impact on the way my pictures look.
All right, DJ said send it to Katie's email, the one down below, JD.
All right, I'll look for it.
You need to look for it. I don't see her emails, and she gets way too many, so sometimes she doesn't always see
I need
them.
to add your email address to the thing, because
you probably should, because you've got a better chance of me responding than her.
I'm very, I always have like a million things going on. And what happens is I'll see an email comes in from somebody and then I'll be like, oh, cool. And then I will go to do something else and then I'll forget about it.
Squirrel.
Which is weird, because it's like on some things I'm really good at focusing, and on other things I'll completely.
Karen, I don't keep my photos on my phone at all. I actually use a camera or my phone. Depends on who's taking the pictures. When Dana takes my pictures, it's my camera. When I take my pictures, it's either camera or phone. I don't keep them on my phone at all. I don't keep them anywhere except eBay. Once my listing is done, they're deleted off my computer or my phone.
Yeah. Pugs309, how do you deal with the partners option on eBay? I don't even know anything about it.
I don't know what the partners option is.
I don't do anything with it. I don't know.
So not trying to ignore your question.
So we don't know nothing.
We don't.
Here's the thing about Etsy, guys. We have been doing Etsy for far less time than we've been doing eBay. I feel like, while I don't necessarily think we're experts when it comes to eBay, I feel like we have a depth of knowledge that goes pretty far, especially between the two of us when it comes to eBay. And we have a pretty deep understanding of how things work and how to like optimize everything on eBay and hopefully get the best sales. Etsy is a different story. We've been dabblers for a little over maybe like a year and a half, been hardcore focusing on it for probably the past maybe 6 months for me, maybe 4 months for you. So I feel like I'm learning more every day, but I don't feel like I have the same level of expertise that I do when it comes to eBay.
Right.
So
yeah, Karen, if you have unlimited storage somewhere, then feel free to keep your photos forever. But I've been saying I just throw away all my photos. I did not have to deal very much with the glitchapalooza of the photos being lost over the summer. So I know other people had that. I didn't have that issue. Basically, if your item is higher than a year, it asks who your partner or distributor. I'm not
I don't
sure.
know.
I don't know what that question is. Your item is higher?
Yeah, I don't know anything
than
about
a year,
that.
higher than a year.
And I don't know what kind of stuff you're selling. I mean, I sell vintage stuff, so I don't have partners. I'm not getting a distributor from anybody. I go out and source everything. So I'm sorry, I don't really know.
Yeah, same here. Everything
it.
I sell is one-off and 99% used.
As far as photos go, everything on mine automatically goes over to Google Photos. I do keep everything. I haven't really deleted stuff off of Google. I probably should. I do pay like $1.99 a month for storage. But when Picture Palooza did happen, or Photogeddon, when it did happen, I was able to go back, and there were a few pictures that were lost forever that I was able to go back because I was able to go and see when I originally had listed those items, and I was able to go back in my Google Photos and find the pictures. So
yeah, Pugs, I'm actually not sure if what that question means. I don't know what are you talking about, Etsy or eBay?
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
Is that the drop down description on Etsy?
Hold on. I think I know what you're talking about. If it's newer, if it's a newer item, if it's not vintage, then you have to, because the thing with Etsy, and I could be totally wrong on this, maybe this isn't what you're talking about, but with Etsy, it has to either be a vintage item, or it has to be something that you personally made, or that you commission someone else to make, if it's a newer item. And so if it's something that you don't personally make, you have to identify who it is that makes it for you. Because basically they don't want people to just be like, oh, I have this made for me. And then they're really just selling a bunch of like new crap. I think that's what you're talking about. As far as if you're selling vintage clothing, you shouldn't be.
You just put made by.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't even.
Or something.
No, it doesn't. Choose that. I don't think it even asks that. But I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to like look.
Jerry's in the chat. I haven't seen Jerry in the chat in months. Jerry's been a little MIA the past couple of months. He's been super busy.
Love us anymore. Just kidding.
I know. My phone hasn't rung in a while. I don't know. You and Brenda are off the grid.
Yeah, pretty much.
She's busy with school. He's busy with eBay. They're both busy with eBay. I think another company or person. That's what you're looking at. Finished product. Right here.
Yeah. Well, let's look at it, guys. We're just gonna jump right into this. Like, we don't know the answer, but we're gonna explore it. So I just did a copy of a listing. I'm gonna look at this. So when you are doing vintage, so this item is vintage because I have it 1990 and 1998 chosen. It's a finished product. It was made by another company or person.
Click on that and see what the options are. I think that's what they're asking.
Well, right. So who made it? I did. A member of my shop, another company or person. So I can say another company or person because it is vintage. Now, if it was made in the 2000s, I believe at some point you're going to have to say, I don't know. Well, I'm not seeing that it's asking that. It's handmade with production assistance.
Was that there before?
Well, no, because it's not. Before it was vintage. So it says vintage.
Yeah. I think that's what you're.
Again, I don't know. Maybe at some point it asks you to identify who distributed it, but I don't know. Made to order. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. That answered the question.
Okay, cool. Let's get out of that. See, look at that. Look at that. Answering questions on the fly, figuring things out. This is what it's all about, guys. We don't know. I don't know. Oh, self-destruct, friendly reminder to hit the thumbs up, guys.
Tap it gently.
Tap it gently.
Frenchie wanted to know, are your mini Adidas shoes selling?
I sold one pair. I still have 3 pairs. So we'll see. We'll see. Could end up being a bust. Or it might end up just so that it won't sell right away in this season. So we'll see.
It wouldn't be a bust because even your one pair pretty much paid for all of them that you bought.
I think, yeah, it's like, or it might just take a while. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're not flying off the shelf. But it also seems like kind of
anything I do with retail arbitrage sucks.
It kind of seems like one of those things. Like, how many people are going and searching for? I want to find some miniature Adidas shoes. So I don't know. It's kind of those things like you guys see it and then you're like, oh, where's this been all my life?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we talked about as much as we can with promoted listings, and of course we'll continue to answer questions as if they come up in future shows. Mm-hmm. But hopefully this helps a little bit.
It hopefully wasn't too rambly and all over the place.
Combine this with Teresa's short video from eBay, and there are several different people and shows both on YouTube and elsewhere that will teach you about promoted listings, even on eBay's website. There are different, if you search far enough, you can find some teaching videos.
Yeah.
But I think that you just got to find the one that speaks to you and that, maybe you understand.
Play around with it. Mm-hmm. And just remember, you want people to come to your items. So pay attention to those clicks and what different levels, what kind of impact different levels have on whether or not people are actually clicking on your items and looking at them.
Yeah.
Because once they come to your listing page, then the rest is what is all going to depend on whether or not they actually want to buy your item. Mm-hmm. So
pretty much it.
And if they're still not buying your item, then maybe there's something wrong. Just saying. I think I have them in 2 different categories, but I'll have to look, Kara. All right. Anyway, guys, I think we're gonna call it a day.
We're gonna call it a day. We've got a list. We've got to go take a friend to the airport, and I think there may be some Krispy Kreme purchasing in my future.
I want to get another chin going.
I need a little bit more padding on my large butt.
Hey, if you guys are in the Boss Facebook group and you haven't set your goal for today of how many items you want to list, I don't care if you're only going to list one item. If you're not going to list any items, maybe tomorrow you're going to list a bunch of stuff, but this is Boss Up and List Day. It is the all-day virtual listing party in the Boss Facebook group. Just go in there and check in and say, hey, I don't have any time to list today, but tomorrow I'm going to do 15 listings, or today I'm going to try to do 5 listings, or I'm going to do 30 listings. Whatever it is, go check in today. Check into that post, and please let us know what's your goal. What's your goal for the week if you don't know what you're doing today?
My goal is like 25 today, which means I got to get my butt moving because it's already 12, and I don't want to work till 11 o'clock tonight again.
Yeah,
we were listing until 11 o'clock last night. We listed all day, worked all day.
We were, but there's the last couple of weeks, there's so many days where I was barely able to do any listing, and I think I've seen it in my sales. So I'm really trying to plus I have so much stuff that needs to be listed, and and we both hate having stuff sitting around not listed. I want to get it listed. Plus, here's the thing, guys, really, really quick. What are the breakdowns of the day? So I think the last day to get stuff out,
priority mail, the last stuff to mail for guaranteed delivery for priority is the 20th. So we only have 8 or 9 days to go and get stuff out to get it delivered for Christmas.
21st for priority.
Might be the 21st.
21st for priority. So guys, you have like 9 days. So in the next couple of days, next few days, you want to try to get as much stuff listed as possible, particularly anything that somebody might want to be purchasing for a gift. If you have some high valuable items, get it listed. Get on it, guys. All right. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you on Friday for No Pants Friday.
We will be here sans pants.
With extra chins, because we're probably going to eat like a bunch of donuts today.
I know I can eat at least a dozen. Somebody said freeze them. I'm like, who has leftover Krispy Kreme donuts that needs to freeze them? What is wrong with you?
Yeah, and this one over here, she can pack them away. Like when we get Krispy Kremes, I'm like talking to her, and then I turn away and I turn back, and like 3 are missing, and I'm like, what happened? What happened? What's going on? And then usually I can figure it out because she has little bits of glaze on her shirt because she's a little messy when she eats, guys. She gets a little bit of glaze.
I get the boob shelf.
A little bit of
everything
glaze.
lands on them.
A little bit of glaze in the boobs. I will say, hey guys, I only just started watching the video, but Raleigh Roots put up a video today of Callie competing to get her Christmas bonus.
Oh my god, I have to go watch it.
And I got, so far I've seen the first round, which she was able to complete in less than a minute, and so I think she got $100. But she is wearing the
don't give Dana any ideas. I can't. I'm not going to make her do challenges for a Christmas bonus.
She's wearing her Bossum t-shirt that we sent her. So I'm hoping that she wins all the challenges because she's gonna have great luck. But yeah, I totally put the shirt on today, and then Vikki was like, "Hey, did you see Callie's wearing that shirt in the video today?" So
yeah, I just saw the preview for the video. I didn't see the video yet, but I'm gonna go watch it.
Yeah, so go check it out. Anyway, see you guys later. Get to work. Boss up. Oh, jinx.